Hello and welcome to Meeple Mentor Reviews. Today we're doing a review of an upcoming game about to hit crowdfunder on Kickstarter called Cozy Juicy Real. This is primarily a game played with cards and a cloth mat. Now, I don't know if the cloth mat or anything is going to be changed into a full board after the Kickstarter's done or anything like that, but we have played it a couple times, and so we wanted to give you our thoughts and review of Cozy Juicy Real.
I kind of like the aesthetic of the playmat. I think it's a really good game for getting to know people. I wouldn't use it as an icebreaker game.
Really?
Yeah, because
Sometimes you get too real. Too real, too fast.
that and there are people that don't necessarily want to open up in a room full of strangers like that. Like they kind of feel pressured to do one of the juicy or the real questions for the points, but they feel they don't really. I mean, the one that was at the end of the table, you understand?
Absolutely. I mean, the subtitle is The Board Game with a Very Ungame-like Purpose, which is basically to meet and greet and share and, connect with the people at your table.
Yeah.
And it's kind of up to you as far as what level of depth you want to go with the people at your table.
I hear you, but I'm autistic and I just tend to go as deep as the people around me, and that can be problematic.
Okay. Well, essentially the way the game plays is you have tokens, which are...
I wouldn't go with that one token.
Yeah, well, you've got like different tokens. Up to 8 people can play, and you all start on the start space, and the spaces are color coded, which match the different cards that you can draw, and all of those are going to be set up on the board. So the green is cozy, the yellow is juicy, and the red is real, and those basically correspond to what kinds of questions that it'll pose to you, whether it's easy to answer or more in depth, in a sense of like how much do you want to share about your personal life. So real is about your personal life basically, and juicy is yes, it's about your personal life, but it's maybe easier to answer than the real questions. Because of that, the game rewards you for going real and juicy instead of just doing the cozy answers, by giving you more points for doing juicy and real and allowing you more movement, which allows the game to sort of come to a complete. There's just the one track that goes around the mat, and then when one player gets to the end, everyone gets one final turn, and then everybody draws one of the lightning cards. There's also the blue color,
which is fun.
Do you want to talk about that one?
So the blue color is the random card, and it gives you, most of the time, it's a challenge for the other players. You get to have them do a certain task or do something like ours was show your phone lock screen and wallpaper, and then the person who held the blue card got to choose whose they liked the best and give those points to that person. Other times it's, do you think the player to your left would choose one of the following options? And then if you're right, you keep the card. If you're not, I think you just discard it. Isn't that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's a lot of fun. And then as a consolation, if you decide, or if you end up giving the card to someone else, you get to draw one of the, it'll be color coded at the bottom to correspond with the cozy juicy reel, and you get to pull one of those.
You still get to draw a card for yourself.
Do that.
Yeah. So as an example, this challenge says, you're the judge. Ask all players to take turns whistling a line from a well-known song. If they can't whistle, encourage them to try anyway. They might still win. Give points to the most entertaining player. Sit back and enjoy the show. So as the judge, that's, you kind of get to say, hey, do all this, and then whoever does it best, I'll give you points. And they're going to be point valued between like 10 and 50. So depending on the kind of challenge it is, you might get more points.
And the point values are not restricted to the Cozy Juicy Real random cards. They're also on cards that encourage you to interact with the other players. There are hug cards.
Hug, courage.
Go deeper.
High fives.
What about you?
What about me?
What about me is in, I think it's 7 or more.
7 or 8 players, you can do that, where you throw that card to someone who just answered and say, what about me? So then it's like, I'm going to answer that question because I have something to say.
Yeah.
These purple cards that she's describing are called the spark cards. So you're dealt the same number of different, types of cards to each player at the start of the game. And if you haven't used the cards, then they're negative points for you. But by using them and therefore giving these cards to someone else to encourage them to share, or just giving them a high five for something they shared, it flips over and sits in front of them and does count for positive points. So you're encouraged to, give these out to help people feel encouraged about what they're sharing. And you also want to, try to share enough that people want to give you these kinds of cards back in appreciation for something you've shared. So everything is very subtly but very directly trying to encourage people as much as possible to share. But how does it play with introverts? Well, I consider myself mainly an introvert, but I can be extroverted.
I do too.
We did have one player on one of the games we did where he was not talking very much, and just getting him to talk was difficult in general. It's not just the game. So at some points we had some humor about his wife sitting next to him giving him looks, and it's like, you need to open up, like,
Talk.
you need to say something. And even, like a juicy question is like, who do you trust most in the world? And he'd just sit there and like think for a while, and she's just looking at him like, and so then he's like, yeah, I trust, my wife the most. And it's like, okay. And he's like, yeah.
That was it. And if you'd go deeper, because we pulled that on him, because, we are how we are.
Share why.
He would just be like, because she's the one that's been there for me. And
yeah.
So I wouldn't suggest it for people who have trouble opening up. But for people that can put that aside, the fact that you're around strangers, sure, it could be an icebreaker game.
Yeah.
But if you're faced with introverts, it can be difficult to...
If this is your opener or if this is your icebreaker, I can see that. Because you don't know what kind of, introvert or extrovert people are, and how much they're willing to share.
And I really didn't realize he was that quiet until we played this game.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Because, you get to know people by asking questions. That's what this is all about. But, if you're an introvert and you're posed a question and you answer it, but you answer it only to the amount that you're comfortable, it's not always going to be as satisfying for the group of people around to go, I feel like I still didn't learn anything about you. So it does a good job, but it's going to vary based on who you're playing with.
Definitely.
And how well you know those people already. It would be great to play with people that even having met a few times, because you get to know them better instead of get to know them for the first time.
Right.
So that would be my caveat on when to break this out. If you, host a game night and invite a whole bunch of new people for the first time, maybe wait on this one, because this might make them uncomfortable. There are rules in the game that say, if there's a card that you don't want to do, or there's a question you don't want to answer, you don't have to. So you just instead, draw a different card, or, move on.
Right.
Like if someone does the challenge, and I'm not doing the challenge, then you can't win the challenge, but otherwise you're not penalized. So there are those things involved.
Speaking on that, I have to say that with being able to, if you're a supporter like me, you're going to hand out all of your cards in the first 5 minutes. So it's very useful to be able to hand back out cards that you've been given around the table. And then you find in the end that it really, I think it's spot on with the description, because it's not like your standard board game. It doesn't matter about the points at all. Yeah. It's just about, learning about everybody at the table.
Right. It's a functional way to team build, I guess.
Yeah.
It's an entertaining way to break the ice, in a sense of, how can I get our people closer together in a fairly short time period.
Right.
So it's cool, like this whole gamification of getting to know people. And that's what it is. So, it's like, whose turn is it anyway? Whose line is it anyway? Like, the points don't matter, and
Yeah.
everybody just
Everything's made up and the points don't matter.
Yeah, exactly. But hopefully they're not sharing lies, they're not making it up. But yeah. So Cozy Juicy Reel, it can be a lot of fun. They even include this wrap it up card if someone's sharing like quite a bit.
Or, refusing to share for about 5 minutes.
Because they're just like quiet, or they're supposed to be talking. I'm like, wrap it up. Come on, give us something.
Give us something.
So you just grab it off the table and wave it around. And so it kind of tries to help keep things on topic to the gameplay. And it's like, all right, let's get in the next player,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
The lightning round.
Yeah.
There is also the lightning round where you each get to do like what?
It's a guess. It's a guess game. So it talks about, you draw it, and then it'll talk either about a person on your left or a person on your right. And then you give them a question like, if the player clockwise to you could be a superhero, who would they choose to become? So generally it's like a test of how well you got to know each other. And so they give you 4 options, and you read them out, and then that player, internally will decide for themselves, and then the guessing player has to guess. And if they're right, they get the points. If they're wrong, it's discarded. But it's an extra way to...
Let's see how well you know me. How well do you know me?
Oh. Jeez. Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll give you that.
I know you like Spider-Man, so that's Cozy Juicy Reel. It plays somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour and a half, depending on how many people and how long people start sharing, which I think is why they included this wrap it up card. So probably 5 or 6 people is a pretty good play count.
But then if you want to play with the what about me, you go for 7 or 8.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, this has been our review of Cozy Juicy Reel. Check it out on Kickstarter. It should be funding soon or now. But I've been Jared.
I'm Holly.
We'll see you next time.